doing a series over the next 8 weeks where we're going to be unpacking all the things HR. Now, you know HR better than I do, Lucas, of course. So I'm going to be actually picking your brain if that's okay. But how's things going over there?
Yeah, really good. Looking forward, really exciting. I think it took us some time to put all this together. It's a lot of amazing materials, a lot of new stuff. I think a lot of stuff that people can learn from us and, really looking forward to it.
Yeah. And obviously there's a lot of talk. There's been a lot of speak and a lot of focus on what AI is into the future and what it means for HR people. So, give people a bit of a flavor of what you've been working on over the past, I suppose, how long? Like a year, maybe 6 months, really? What have you been working on?
Yeah, thank you. Just to give you a little bit of a background, I putting 18 years of experience in HR into something that we are building. It's a Kumo HR. It's a AI native HR platform that is different than anything else. I think people many times just hear about like AI in HR and they kind of get scared or they don't really know how it works, but we created something that is truly AI based. It's very easy to navigate. It's very easy to use. We created for the HR environment, HR community, and for adding a lot of value to the businesses. And that's for us, that's what we drive. That's what we want to show. What's the difference between proper AI and LLM slap on old platform?
Yeah, totally. What we're on over the next couple of weeks is we're spending 8 weeks unpacking everything that is myth busting within the HR space, things around auditing, AI, people operations. Will AI replace HR? There's so many different topics that we have to cover over the next 8 weeks. And we're doing this because it's a super valuable course and a super valuable insights for individuals. We're going to have Lucas and I on this over the next 8 weeks. So every Wednesday at 2 p.m. you can go and tune in on LinkedIn Lives and you can come along and you can learn about the latest and best things happening in HR, but also equip yourselves for the future and not get left behind. That is one of the most important things as well, folks. We know AI is enabling teams to do, amazing work and more work with less hands as well. So how do we make sure that you're not getting left behind in your role as a HR administrator, as a HR manager, as a HR leader? And then also, how do companies not get left behind with regards to the expectations of what employees have today, the expectations of what talent has today in the marketplace? So today's session, we're going from HR admin to AI-powered people operations. Now, it's not going to be about the AI in theory, okay? It's not about whether AI is real or whether it's going to change HR. Both of those questions, Lucas, I think have been answered, haven't they?
Yes, 100%.
So what today is about is how your team, your HR team specifically, can actually use AI safely and usefully. Number one is safely. That's really important. I do training across the globe within the AI space, hundreds of people a year. And it's always about safety first. And safety is very important. We'll get into that. Usefully is about actually not just slapping AI on something. Lucas, I think you say this great things when you're speaking to your customers, don't you? About it's not just about slapping AI, just for AI's sake. Enlighten us, Lucas, what you say around that.
100%. I think we have a lot of decent platforms, and I think so. We have a AI revolution in HR, and a lot of these platforms actually have outdated technology. They put LLM, ChatGPT on the top of it, most of the cases, and they claim, we have now AI platform. And what it actually does, it does a little bit of automation, but doesn't really add the proper value. It doesn't really add the value from day-to-day basis, doesn't add the value for the business on the inside. And the capabilities of AI are really underutilized. So what we wanted to really highlight is if you really have properly AI embedded, how that changes the way you operate, how much time you save, and also how business get the visibility on the performance of the company. And just everything gets so nicely aligned. And it's sometimes people don't really understand what we're talking about till we don't show them what it's capable. Because nobody really saw it in the before. Everybody's, it's a AI platform or it's a HR platform. What does it do? They are blown away when they really see what's capable.
Yeah, amazing. So what's the one thing you'd love to walk away with from today, Lucas?
For me, it's really about to see how other people are using AI, where they're struggling, how we can help them. For me, it's the whole thing kind of started for me to help the HR community. So for me, I would like to see that everybody that's coming out of this training today is going to fully understand what's good AI, what is a slap on AI.
Yeah, totally. So we're going to be starting covering what's changed in HR actually, or what is changing in HR since AI came about. Obviously, people can question, what AI when it came about. What I'm talking about is generative AI and agentic AI. The boom in generative, the boom in agentic. Okay. Now, for those of you who don't know what generative or agentic AI, don't worry, we're covering that in this session today. What I'd also like to look at myself is where AI is already being used and give practical examples to you folks around hiring, onboarding, compliance. We're not going to get into the hands-on exercises unless we have quite a bit of engagement in the comments. But I think these first three are going to bring us up to 45 minutes. And then if we have any questions, we can jump into that. And if anyone wants to go into the hands-on exercises, we could take that offline. But we will go into how to think about AI safely inside HR workflows at the end of this. So really excited. Guys, if you are watching on LinkedIn, this is our first live, so we're not expecting many viewers today, but that's fine because it's LinkedIn algorithm appreciates consistency. So we're going to be doing this every week. So if you are watching on LinkedIn, do like this, do share this, share it to your audiences. Anyone who you think may be interested and that will benefit them. Remember, there's a lot of ambiguity around AI at the moment. So like, share, comment as well if you have any questions. We're here to answer. We've got a comment stream in the chat. Anyone who wants to speak, feel free to jump in. All right, then, let's go into the next stage. Here's some context, Lucas. I don't know if you've been looking at a lot of studies around how HR are being asked to move faster now. Now, obviously, you've been in HR all your life. Okay, what is the pressure like on a HR team?
I mean, you have a lot of studies, but like you said, I'm living it day to day. So for me, that's always everything that goes wrong with workforce is always blame on HR. Oh, people are not performing, people are not engaged, people are not doing something. It always comes something that people get blamed, HR get blamed for. And this is kind of the starting point. If something doesn't show, something doesn't work, oh, it's HR fault. Oh, HR is here, it's HR. So there's a really bad rep, and it actually also comes down to the usual task that HR is a lot of time just doing the admin job. And this is what we try to change.
Yeah, absolutely. And so, but from when it comes to sort of, would you agree with these statistics? So if you have a look here, HR teams are being asked to move faster and they have less capacity today. And is that because tech companies don't see value in the expanding HR teams, or is it that they think HR are superheroes?
I wish. I really do wish. But to be honest, these facts actually really reflect the reality. I think it is something that we see on a day-to-day basis. You can hide from it. This is something that we have to deal with, and we try to do something better about it. And I think so that's more important. It's about not just accepting it. It's about being proactive about finding solution for it.
Yeah. Because I believe that AI hasn't arrived really in a calm environment when it comes to HR. It's arriving pretty much when HR teams are stretched anyway. Okay, so actually, it's quite a godsend to HR teams. 69% of organisations are still struggling to fill full-time roles. 7% are updating existing job descriptions to include new skills. So these existing job descriptions, new skills that are coming out, which is awesome. And 60% of HR and people leaders now say automation and AI is a top priority. So it's not a nice to have, Lucas. It's a top priority. So what this tells me, and you can put your anecdotes on it, what this tells me is that the conversation has moved from should we explore AI to how do we use it well? How do we use it out given all of this stuff that's on our plate? And that's what I think we're finding with customers over at Kumo, aren't we? We're finding that they're looking at how do we implement this well, rather than and actually how much time is it going to take us? Now, I believe that AI myself has moved from an experiment to everyday HR work. And if you needed any more evidence, look at these numbers. Okay, 43% of organizations now use AI in HR tasks. And that's actually doubled in 12 months. That's amazing. 72% of HR professionals say that they use AI weekly, and 95% of HR leaders expect their use of AI to increase over the next years. Where do you see their use of AI increasing over the years to come, Luke?
I think traditionally we see the AI really affecting more like the talent when you recruitment. I think that's when a lot of companies are starting. But there's so many other uses for AI, and I think so. We have this session to show people how you can really apply AI in the other areas of the business as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. But what I want you to note really here is the adoption has moved fast. Okay. So we're moving from technology teams into actual workflow at the moment. And, they're sort of not pilots anymore with IT. IT comes along here. Let's see if we could pilot this. It's actually a real life adoption. Um, if we look at recruitment as well, so where it starts, where it started as well, recruitment's actually leading the shift. And I always find it interesting how recruitment leads the shift. Why do you think recruitment is leading the shift in AI?
Because that's most of the admin job comes when it kind of think about like admin comes in the
Yeah.
recruitment. So you have a lot of you dealing with a lot of CVs, screening CVs, and that takes a lot of time. And like these days, with you actually publishing, I have the roles that we have anywhere between 200 to 700 applicants to go through that so many CVs. And let's just say you're a scaling company, you may have 20, 30, 40 open vacancies. I mean, we work with clients that have 720 open vacancies one given time. So you can imagine that's thousands, tens of thousands CVs you need to go through. So you will need to hire a massive team to do that, or you can actually utilize AI. So this is when it comes first, where it makes it very easy jump to actually, you know what? There's a lot of stuff, a lot of things are kind of repetitive. You can use AI, it's for analysis and helps you to screen it down.
Do you think that this is taking the human out of the element? Do you think it's, because a lot of people, they like, being recruited by people. So how do you feel that this is, impacting the candidate experience?
Yeah, I think, well, actually, it comes two ways because now you see more and more people actually using AI to draft CVs. So actually, CVs are being done by AI. A lot of time it's tailored for the role. So they're not even using, they are not even applying themselves. They're using AI tools as well. So it goes both ways. And I think so it's becoming more and more acceptable for companies and people that, you know what, yes, I'm going to be dealing, I'm going to be screened. You use a lot of time now. A lot of supports are actually AI supports. I think so. People are getting more and more used to it.
Mm,
And it's the first line. I think so. Now everybody looks, how can I get to the first line of being AI screened? So they're using different AI tools to go through it. But I
yeah.
think it's becoming a norm. But to be also honest, I mean, that's a lot of amazing people in recruitment. They really add value as well. So I wouldn't leave the full recruitment cycle just for AI to screen and to do.
Yeah, it's funny what you said there. It's like AI is creating the jobs now, in terms of posting the jobs. AI is applying for the jobs, and AI screening for the jobs. It's AI doing everything for us. They're spoon feeding us. But you're right. We shouldn't rely on it always, and we need human in the loop at all points. But it's very interesting to see that recruitment is leading the shift. 51% use AI to support recruiting, whether that's sourcing, and all of those items. 66% of individuals in recruitment teams are using it for job descriptions. That's a low hanging fruit. We all know that. Um, Actually, I did see a couple of months ago, or maybe many months ago, but people had left in the additional chat GPT context at the end of the job description. It was like, the way it asks you, if you want, I can tailor this up to be in a more informal tone. They left that in, and that went viral. That was interesting. So don't do that, guys. 44% use it for resume screening. We spoke to someone a couple of weeks ago and on a podcast, and they were saying about um, how people don't like to be screened by an AI, but there's some saying actually they do. They would prefer it because the AI is a bit more sort of binary. So you see these stats that we look at, and I think obviously that's since generative AI really kicked off 2023, that is. And we look at 3 years down the line, and this year, the advent of agentic AI, it's going to be these numbers are going to be very different in the coming months, even. So, I do want to say though, before we get carried away with all the AI bits and bobs and pieces that we can do, but we need to talk honestly about risks, Lucas. Where do you think? Why is risks, or why is it important that we are diligent of risks when it comes to particularly the application of AI in HR?
Well, HR deals with a lot of sensitive data. So you have, a lot of regulation. You have GDPR, now it's the AI Act as well coming into place. So you need to be very careful because you don't want to internally or externally expose the personal data. I think people are very sensitive about it, but in the right way. I think, we need to be all doing all the best to protect our identities, protect our personal information. We don't want it to become public. So I think so this is the biggest risk when it comes to it. It's about managing the data correctly, the compliant way, the right way.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's important that we look at the risks because they are real, right? So 67% of HR professionals say their organization has not been proactive enough in AI training. Now, just a plug, I could do training, but we come to these courses every week. We're doing training every single week. Okay. Over the next 8 weeks, you've got us here locked in, loaded, live training on LinkedIn. So if you're sitting at home and you're wondering, I'd really like to understand a little bit about how we can implement AI in HR, you know where to come to. But yeah, it's real because I think AI was first, I think also in the UK a lot. So if I look at the global demographics, AI last year was people were trying to adopt it faster outside of the UK. That's where a lot of I was inbound was coming into myself. This year now we're looking, a lot of UK folks are going, actually this AI thing is real. It's not going away, and we should really be looking at this ourselves. So I do think that's actually interesting. They're not priced enough to train on AI, and I'm not talking training just on like how to use Claude or Chat GPT or Copilot, which actually fun fact on this, Lucas, Copilot isn't its own AI. You know that?
100%. Yeah. And I think so. This is what it comes to. I think a lot of people, we just kind of come like, AI, because you see a lot of stuff is about the coding. There's so much what you can do. I need to understand how AI works, how to frame it, how to question, how to really properly use it and get the most out of it.
And then 45% are worried about legal concerns, when it comes to AI, which is a natural thing as well. So it's important that you have a framework around you and a system around you that can mitigate that. 41% are worried about biased recommendations. Now, what we mean by this is could be in the talent space, it could be in performance management, how AI is judging performance, because we're seeing AI being rolled out in performance management. We have our own AI that observes performance management. But how do you mitigate those and not make it hallucinate even, not give Shelley a massive pay raise because of one hallucination that it made. I'm sure Shelley would love that pay raise, but she might not deserve it, Lucas. She might not deserve it. So, so here's the most important number on this slide, though, right? 93% of hiring managers still emphasize human involvement in hiring decisions. So, does that tell you that AI is going to replace HR?
100% not. We still,
Exactly.
there's a big role. I think there's a shift. And I think so. Just going through also other comments, I think people asking about, in this age of AI, is the career in HR really is worth it? And I say, yes, 100%. And I think so HR is becoming more and more important because we're getting from the admin side to more strategic to adding more value.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So I think the teams who win who won't use the most AI. Why do you think I say that?
Well, the AI, I think it's good to a certain level. I think AI, we still kind of thinking, okay, what really AI is, I think is the proper question. And then you start looking, okay, how can you help you? What it helps you with? I think if you are just basing everything on an AI, you can very easy, like you mentioned, hallucinations. It really easy can go off track. Has a tendencies to agree with you on everything. So you can really take it the wrong way. So you need to understand where to use it and how to use it. AI is gonna help you 1,000%. But if you're gonna overuse it, is it gonna hurt you? 100%.
And the thing is, it's the teams that will use it best. So I've listed a few things here, like improving workflows, removing the redundant pieces of work that you shouldn't be doing, cleaning your data, for your stakeholders, for your own understanding, for better performance, better operations efficiency. Fantastic, faster administration. sometimes we shouldn't be using Excel spreadsheets. Sometimes you shouldn't be running a pivot table on a Friday afternoon. You should have a click of it. You should have a system that just does it for you, you know, and that anticipates that. But also the employee experience, again, we take a look at what employees demand today, think how they act as consumers. Now, I love a next day delivery on Amazon. I would not buy anything outside of next day delivery. I'll actually just not buy it because I just think it's too long. And then I just won't get it. And that's the whole point, that we want these um, fast coffees, drive-through Starbucks. If you just said to someone 40 years ago, there's a drive-through coffee shop, they'd have said, or maybe not 40, because I still have this feeling like we're in the year 2000. But a number of years ago, when there's a coffee shop, you drive through and they're going to pass your coffee out the window. People would have thought you were mad. And the reason that we have those, because I use them, is because it's about convenience. Now, from an experienced employees, they want a company that's giving them access to their data, rather than having to go through a whole process of an email, waiting 72 hours to come back and, all that sort of stuff. They want access to their data. They want to be able to get holidays approved as fast as possible. They want to log their absences. They want to learn, they want a system where they can just learn. They want a system that understands them and their learning behaviors and their personality. And so this is what we're looking at today, and that's the teams using it best. And then human review where it matters. Of course, we need that. We'll speak about that. And then AI is great for better compliance as well. You're able to be more compliant, up to date with the latest laws, policies, you name it. Just a few things. So here is the old HR reporting model. Well, have you been in organizations that have had an old HR reporting operating model like this, Lucas?
Yes, way too many. I think you will be surprised. I think many times, like people even think about, oh, this is a quite new organization, quite progressive, or they are big corporate organization. They spend a lot of money on the systems, and then you just come in and you go like, wow, we are stuck in 2000.
Yeah. And so this is what it looks like. CVs in inboxes, onboarding in spreadsheets. Yeah. Policies in a shared drive that are difficult to find, not listed properly, indexed properly. Leave is tracked manually. You're counting on your fingers how many days leave you got, compliance is in calendars, and people data is split across systems. Now, what's the concern about data being split across systems here, Lucas?
It is very difficult. I think what happens, because sometimes when you try to run the reports, it makes it very difficult, because one system shows you different data, then you have other, then you spend so much time consolidating different systems. Additionally, people get annoyed. Not everybody in a company is going to be using the HR systems on a day-to-day basis. So many times, a lot of time I saw it, people come to HR is about asking, which system I use for expenses? Which system I use for recruitment? What's my login? I didn't use it. I don't remember it. And you just resetting password, pointing them the right direction if you don't have it on database. But then also, on the top of the old HR operation models, you also have a lot of small startups where they operate in a similar scheme. Like you start, you have few employees, put it on an Excel spreadsheet. Everything is fine. Everything's working. We can handle calendars. We can handle policies. We don't really even need them. This is a startup. Everybody knows what they're doing. Till you don't really find out that, okay, you know what? I think we start having a problem. And usually people start thinking about, okay, I need a solution when something bad happens.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's usually when it's too late.
100%.
But the old HR operating model, as I said, looks like this. It's a problem because when it comes to AI works best when things are structured. So the problem here is even when you have an old setup, AI can't solve your problems because it needs context, it needs clean inputs, it needs a clear place to put its outputs as well. And when your data is scattered, AI cannot help much. It just basically adds another tab in your browser. So I think what I would ask people out here in the chat today is how many of these 6 are true for your team? So think about that. Be honest. How many of these 6 are true for your team? I believe that at least 4 out of 6 would be true for most organizations out there, Lucas. And we spend a lot of time in this, don't we? Now, the Tomorrow model, I like that. It kind of sounds like a band, doesn't it? A band name, the Tomorrow model. The Tomorrow model is AI powered people operations that needs a system underneath it. Okay, so here's what the new looks like. It doesn't sit on its own. That's number one. It sits on top of a connected system. So your people records, for instance, your hiring pipelines, your onboarding journeys, your documents, your signatures, for instance, your leave, absence, compliance tasks, performance and learning, even reporting, all in one connected interface, you know? And when you have this kind of structure, what does that lead to, Lucas?
I think, the what actually helps, everything is streamlined. Engagement goes up, you have performance goes up, everybody knows where to go, what to do, how to do it. The whole organization kind of operates better. I think people, when they come in an organization as well, you have a new joiners, they have a much better feeling. Oh, actually, the company have everything is one place, seems organized. So I think so. It's actually even the first kind of site, or it's the first thing that people come to in the contact. They're actually going to show.
Mm.
Actually, you know what? They know what they're doing. This place have it right. They know how to set it up. So I think so. It also helps with retention as well.
Yeah. Well, the great thing is it becomes useful, because AI when it operates under one connected system. And look, this is a shameless plug, guys, but this is why we built Kumo HR, because all systems are scattered. Okay, most people, and you be honest with yourselves. Anyone in HR and in the chat right now, be honest with yourself. Your systems are scattered. So connecting the dots on AI or letting AI be proactive for you, very difficult. It's very difficult. Even when it comes to agentic, because then you're having to give agentic AI access and passcodes to every single system that you use. It has to go log in, and those systems won't communicate with that agentic AI because it will have JavaScript blocking and all that sort of stuff that we know happens today. So actually, when you have a connected system, one HR platform, it gives AI a structure. It can pull context. Okay, it can suggest actions because it has direct access to that database across many systems, and then it can feed back into workflows. So without structure, and this is what many people are using it today, AI is your chatbot. It is ChatGPT. Without structure, all you are doing is using ChatGPT to summarize me an email or a job description, please, or maybe you'll run some data through. I don't recommend doing this, but I know probably many of you are. Is running a Excel spreadsheet and asking Claude to to give you findings or to give you insights. But again, it's outside of your system. So the new operation means that we have one connected system across all of our individual modules. I mean, AI, in my opinion, actually is good at more than this type of stuff. But if we look at really the fundamentals, what AI is good at, it's brilliant at drafting. Okay, the first versions of job description, great. First versions of policies, comms, emails, and it summarizes those beautifully. It's useful for us. It saves us a lot of time. It might be good at like exit interviews and all that sort of stuff. Long meeting notes we can compare. Because the good thing about this is it translates HR into structured outputs, instead of I suppose instead of just messy data all over the place. But it still doesn't solve the system problem. But there is also the issue here and what people are leaving AI to do alone. Okay, AI should not be doing this stuff alone, Lucas. Have you seen companies doing this in the world, Lucas?
And I think a lot of companies are guilty of doing it, and I think so. A lot of systems are designed actually to provide some of these things, and I think they're actually helping individuals or the teams. Like, okay, you know what? Yes, we can do this automate for you without realizing the impact of it.
Yeah. Absolutely. Now, here's what I believe AI should not do alone is reject candidates. Okay. When we leave AI to doing that again, because, and when I talk about AI, guys, I'm talking about generative AI, not an automation, which is an email template that's been signed off by your HR teams, that's been signed off by, whatever, legal, for example, and then it's on a system and that rejection email goes out. I'm talking about the AI emails, which are personal, because what it'll do is it could actually it could detriment your brand. So Also interpret complex employment law. That's really important that we don't allow AI just to do that alone. Make disciplinary decisions. Could you imagine if an AI was deciding on disciplinary decisions for us? Oh, the lawsuits would be like crazy, wouldn't they? Decide who gets promoted. I spoke about Shelley earlier on. You know, Shelley, she may be good at her job, but does she deserve to be promoted? You know, that's the question. And AI should not decide that. Handle sensitive employee relations. You know, there's lots of sensitivity in HR. We know this. Shouldn't do that. And then also judge performance without context. Context, of course, that's the important word. I think what I would ask is people, you know, right now is are there any decisions that your organizations are using right now or using AI too autonomously to actually answer or to create, you know, workflows? Have a think about that. And anyone in the chat, let me know. But the Kumo HR workflow model, it looks like this. And this is something that we're very proud of. Okay. This is probably the most important side I think of the whole session. And if anyone wants to take a photo or screenshot or whatever, feel free to do so. There's a 5-step model when it comes to using AI in any HR workflow. Okay. And we and the engineering team work together to really drive deeper into, well, how do we make sure that we're not just relying on AI or just willy-nilly, you know? So the first step is capture the data. Okay. That could be any data that comes to HR. Okay. And when you use it in a siloed system, it's secured, your data's secure. And so what I'd ask you is, what does AI need to do this task as well, right? Step 2 is structure the workflow. Where does this fit in your process, right? That's really important. Where does it fit in my process as a HR professional, as a team, as an organization? Step 3 is ask AI to assist. Great. Give it the prompt, give it the context. And then also the output format as well. I think a lot of people forget about the output format. They just ask for the what they want rather than, you know, how they want it to look or how they want it to feel or how they want it to be displayed to them. And then step 4 is human review. And this is where judgment and accountability comes in. Because let's say, for instance, I was on training last week and I was speaking to a bank in the Gulf, delivering a few days training. And we were talking about the accountability and ownership. Okay, if I went and took a massive data set that I'd modeled through Python and made some decisions out of, and took it to my senior stakeholder, and it was wrong, and he come back to me and said, "Hey, you know, this is wrong. This is really bad." I couldn't just go, "Well, AI did it." You know, AI did it. AI did it. You know. Fortunately, it doesn't work like that. And the same as in HR.
The big beautiful AI did it.
And then step 5 is record decisions and next actions. So you have an audit trail. Remember, that's a really important thing. So you want to be in any way you're using HR is you want to AI in HR rather, is you want to be auditing yourself if you don't have a system that does it. Why is that important, Lucas?
It's just the AI, I think is a nice layer. And I think so we always discuss about it. You know, I think it's a pyramid. Can do a lot, but you still need to have a human on the top. And that's where the human interaction, the human part is the most valuable element of the whole process.
Absolutely. So let's take a look at some structured or some real sort of use cases or real examples and frameworks that we can use in the world of HR. Okay. Now this is for yourself and how you can do it, but you can go from let's apply this framework that I just chose above, right? So the before job descriptions are basically written from scratch every time. CVs are reviewed inconsistently. And depending on who has the time, don't forget, that's really the most important thing. Interview questions vary by manager. Again, you know, there is a reason why Google are amazing at hiring because they have consistent processes the whole time. Now, Google, they invested a lot into making sure that this would happen. But you can now with AI, actually, everyone can have the same process as Google, or if not better, you know, but just through this structured, this framework. So interview questions vary by manager, as I said, then that means obviously the experience is uneven. and the data you collect is inconsistent as well. And that's really important. Remember, we are collecting data to input as well in the interview process. And then feedback after interviews is really slow most of the time, particularly those big corporations. And actually, reporting on hiring. I remember back in the day, I used to work for a couple of companies in talent acquisition, and reporting was just such an ache, you know. Now the after though is it's where you implement this framework. Job profiles are structured and reusable. Because for those who don't know what job profiles are out there, tell the world what a job profile is.
I think, now kind of work on the job description. The job description, it's very generic. Any company now, everybody goes AI creates it. I think what is more important is about looking at it a little bit more holistically. And as a job profile, it's more about, okay, where the person is going to add value, how it's going to add value, what are the objectives for the next 3, 6, 12 months, what they're going to operate the environment, what it's a must have, what it's a no-go. There's a lot of, because many times when you have generic job description, tells you, oh, we're looking somebody 5 years experience in this role, 3 years senior role, having something work with, being awesome communication skills, but then it actually comes to the reality and they're not using any of it. I think so. It's very important when you have the job profile that actually shows you what you're going to be doing, how your role
Yeah.
is going to impact, and where it's the KPIs, what is actually, how you're delivering on it. So when you come
Yeah.
to the job, there's no surprises. There's actually, exactly, well, okay, this is exactly what you sold me. This is exactly what I'm doing. And I exactly know what I need to do in order to hit my targets.
Yeah, it's almost like benchmarks, aren't it? Isn't it? That's what we're creating.
Okay.
AI will assist in job descriptions. Candidates get summaries and they're generated automatically from the interviews. Most interviews happen online today, and even if they don't, you can have your the AI note taker with you, taking notes and summarizing for your organization. Go on, Lucas, you raise your hand.
Yes, and I think there's also one thing that a lot of companies yes do automate, but we actually been created and giving a little bit of uh, uh, recognition where it's due to Antonio. We created not only when you're creating job profiles, job description, but actually job journey. So when you have a hiring team, they actually know exactly at what stage, what to ask, which question, what are the outcomes of it. So when you come through your process, doesn't matter how many steps you have, on the end, you end up with the best candidate because you answer every single point that is going to be important for this person to be successful in this position.
Yeah. Well, here's a little teaser for everyone. Very soon, we're releasing AI note takers for interviewing, so that join your calls on Google Meet or Teams, and will actually be able to know the job you're interviewing for and be able to take notes based on the conversation and feed that into the candidate profile directly from the Google or the Microsoft Teams. Again, making your life way more efficient. And then, of course, you get an email as a hiring manager to edit it, so you can actually go in and edit it. So it's not just the AI that does it and says, "See, all right, there you go." You get an email, you can edit it and then submit, right? But if you notice what's changed here in all of this, for instance, we mentioned about candidate summaries, interview questions banks, lovely. Pipeline analytics, those are really important. But what's changed is judgment is still human. So the decisions are still human. The structure, drafting, and visibility, those become dramatically better. And that's by using this simple framework. Okay. Let's move on here's a little prompt for the job description. We don't get into prompting right now just because of the interest of time, but we will get into this in one of the courses down the line, which is I believe down the line it is called. So I've posted the job. Now what? That's what the session is called. So you can go to Kumo HR on LinkedIn and you can subscribe to that session, that event, and you'll be notified when we go live. All right. Okay. Here's onboarding. So when it comes down to onboarding, guys, now onboarding can be either a very good experience or a very bad experience. It's never really in between, is it, Lucas? You never really get like an in between. It's either it's terrible or very good. And actually, I'm not even mentioning down to the IT access. How many times on the people's first, second day do they get terrible experience just because the IT access. So let's switch to the onboarding guide. Because obviously once you found someone good to hire, then the next 90 days are really what matters. And here's before most people sort of recognize, or most teams will recognize, before you understand this, remember the IT access. That's very important. But managers forget their key tasks also because they're swamped. HR is chasing documents one by one. The first week experience, it varies, depend on who's in the office that day, which is another thing. And then visibility on this is very low. And so you don't really know what's actually happening. But after onboarding plans, they adapt to the role. So instead of one size fits all, you're able to have onboarding plans that adapt to the role. Now you can do this at a real, you can do this at yourself using a chatbot, but then you're going to have a lot of tasks on, or you can use a one connected system and do it all in there. So automating tasks, for example, that's when you implement this framework. But I believe that onboarding is underrated here, okay? Because obviously your new hire's first impression of your company is the most important thing. And when you implement the framework that we're talking about, the Kumo HR framework, you're able to make sure that that's a lasting impact. What do you think about onboarding, Lucas?
I think a lot of people dread it because, this is again, comes down the experience that candidate's going to have, and that's actually going to change. So many times it just turn the whole attitude off. When I'm starting in the business, I'm going to sound a positive note or a negative. Like you mentioned, it's either good or it's bad. And a lot of times it's so easy to mess with that because there's so many things. It's not like, okay, you sign a contract and you're going to join. Like you mentioned, that can be issues with IT, managers should be reaching out. People should be putting all the data in a system. They should feel like welcome, because many times what they say, between you resigning and you starting, that's the loneliest time in your life, because old company already doesn't care about you. You're already out. They need to find a replacement. Okay, you need to maybe help with the handover. New company, they're quite busy doing everything else. So if you can make the journey, the time for the individual from when they stop working or when they resign till they join you, the most enjoyable time that actually see it, get them engaged, help them to be onboarded, go through the steps. They go, wow, this is amazing. And they really do appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's something that's really, really very underrated, as I said earlier on. So look, here's what I want you guys to remember, okay? AI is powerful. We know this, okay? It's really, really important. But what we're trying to make it do, and what we are doing in technology, is Kumo's making it operational, because it's not just about siloed experiences using a chat bot outside of the system to support us. It's actually about making sure that everything's connected and the AI is sitting underneath it. Okay. And actually on top of it in many ways. So here's some rules. Again, practical rules when it comes to drafting with or creating practical AI rules for HR teams. Okay. Use AI to draft, summarize, structure, compare, prepare, suggest. Don't use it to make final decisions, process sensitive data without control. Replace your legal advice, as I spoke about earlier on. Don't hide decision making from people as well. So you need to make sure that the decision making is with your individuals. Don't let AI just go do it, and don't skip the human review. Now, one of the other things is, guys, is AI is already changing HR. We know this. Obviously, we know recruitment is the most common starting point. Onboarding and compliance are very strong use cases, which I don't believe that many have managed to solve yet. But AI works best with structured HR data and structured workflows. So a messy workflow or a messy operation is not good. If you go and put AI on that, it's actually going to make things worse. So it's really important that we understand this. AI is not a pill to swallow. There's still a lot of work that you need to do if you're just building or putting AI on your systems. Now, the other side is if you don't want to put AI on top of your existing systems, you can come to one system, which is Kumo HR. And again, let's not forget why we're doing this. We're doing this to promote Kumo, but also to give you value. But it's very important. As I said before, I train around the world outside of Kumo. And what I do is I speak to business all the time, and they think they're going to be able to solve their problems, their messy workflows, their messy operation by just slapping AI on it. It's not going to work. You need to have structured input, make structured output. That's really important. Lucas, anything you want to add to that?
I think it makes a lot of sense because, I think there's a lot of, you just kind of talk to people and they actually, I have, as Antonio said, in a few other places that work with the AI and they try to introduce AI to businesses. If there's a mess, there's nothing you can do. There's no hope. AI is not going to magically fix it. So 100%, this is exactly what was the issue. So for us, it's always the most important thing to actually come have the structure, have things, how things are working together, how they align. Then, as you mentioned, our platform allows you to have everything perfectly organized and actually create nice balance between going from one part to other. It gives you a lot of insight. It gives you a lot of options what you can do with stuff and it gives you the hints where the issues are before they even arise.
Yeah.
So it's just kind of giving that insight, that information that nobody else can give you. That's, I think, the magic layer there. And that you can only get because if the data is clean. If there's a mess, you can't do much.
Exactly. Give you a round of applause for that there. So, guys, if you want to continue on the journey with us, as I said at the start of today, we're doing a weekly sessions on unpacking HR over the next 8 weeks. We're going to do more series after that, don't worry. But the next 8 weeks is unpacking HR. We're on here talking to you guys about how you can do that. Today we went live on LinkedIn. Next week we're going live on TikTok, YouTube, and Instagram as well. So we're going to be splitting across the board. But if you do want to continue the journey, then go to our page on Kumo HR on LinkedIn right now. You can click wherever you are. Go there and then subscribe to those events. If you want a free AI readiness review, we are offering 30-minute sessions with our teams. Get in touch. You can feel free to comment on the video, comment in the chat, DM us, or whatever way you want to do that. Also, if you want to walk through Kumo, I suggest you do. It's an amazing platform, and just to see how it works on your own data, which is really cool. So we can use your own data and show you how that works. And then we've got a HR AI prompt pack again, so you can download that. If you want that, comment in the chat, let us know. We're going to jump to questions at the moment. Here's some example questions. But anyone got any questions, feel free to ask. Lucas, while we're waiting for questions, anything you want to add to this?
Well, thank you so much. Thank you very much, Antonio, and everybody who joined us today. We have so much more to share. This is just beginning of the journey. This is our first session. There's many more to come. Not only, like you said, this series. There's so much more we wanted to share. We want to add value. We really want to make sure that people that are following us, that are part of this journey, really going to get the proper value. You get involved in a Kumo HR or not, that's fine. But we are here to help, to educate, to help the community. So make sure that, we are adding value to everybody that is part of this journey with us.
Amazing. All right then. Well, Lucas, great. See you next week. See you live next week at 2 p.m. And we will take it from there. Take it easy, buddy.
Thank you. Cheers. Bye.